What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I'm Asif Body. This is a clip from the YouTube show, so please do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, and give me your thoughts in the comments section below. Without further ado, on with the show. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are in a lull period of the NFL cycle where we are, 20 days away from NFL training camp beginning. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to put together a little bit of a treat for everybody here. An NFC East Division review in comparison with the Philadelphia Eagles, team by team by team. Okay. And my goal is to break down basically potential lineups from the Eagles versus every other NFC East team that we got in the division, compare and contrast, and talk about whether or not Philadelphia has the edge in certain areas. Now, there's going to be some talks and some conversation that will not be necessarily comforting for a lot of Eagle fans, as there are going to be other segments of this division that have the upper hand on Philadelphia. And I'm going to try to be objective and honest about that. And we're going to break down the starting lineups for the Dallas Cowboys. We're starting it off right off the rip, going after the Dallas Cowboys, because they are, quite frankly, the biggest competition in the NFC East, albeit we did split with all the teams in the division last year, and it was just 2 seasons ago that the Washington Commanders were in the NFC title game against us, so we have to put respect on their name. But the biggest competition, in my opinion, I think in most fans' opinions, is the Dallas Cowboys. So we're going to talk about them today in just a few moments. But before we get into all that, let me just introduce you to the show. This is the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I'm your host, Asif Badi, and like you, I'm a Birds fan who talks about the birds, only the birds, and nothing but the Philadelphia Eagles. So please do us a favor here, help us grow this channel organically by shooting this video a thumbs up, commenting your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribing to the channel. Also, check us out on audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and leave a 5-star review, because in the end, it doesn't cost you a damn thing to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We appreciate your support on the opposite side of the camera and on the opposite side of the airwaves. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's just get right into it. We're going to start off with the starting lineups for the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys, okay? And we're going to start off right now with the starting lineup of the Philadelphia Eagles here. Now, we talked about this in an episode past in regards to some of the breakdowns, some of the expectations that we have on the offensive side of the ball. Now, listen, you got Jalen Hurts at quarterback, Saquon Barkley, who's coming off a year where, again, we're going to talk about those two guys in particular in just a moment. But, you know, coming off a year that everybody thought was a little underwhelming, Devonta Smith is now transitioned from wide receiver 2 into a wide receiver 1, or rather 1B, to being the true number 1 guy. He wasn't that since his rookie season, and now he has an opportunity with a few seasons under his belt to go ahead and showcase his skill set as wide receiver 1. Now, you also have Makai Lemon here, who was the first-round pick, who I've been hearing some good reports about in camp. But also you have Dontavian Wicks in the building here, who's also been a gem in Philadelphia, as he's been a consistent presence here in camp. He's part of the system here before because he played with Green Bay last season, so he knows the concepts, he knows the route tree, he knows the whole shebang. And then Dallas Goedert, tight end extraordinaire, has a full game, had a career year in touchdowns last season, but again, the whole offense was just underwhelming altogether, right? So we already talked about Sirianni, new offensive coordinator, Sean Mannion, offensive line coach, and Chris Cooper, and Parks Frazier is the quarterback's coach. Now, I'm not going to go into position coaches tier too much with the Dallas Cowboys, as I don't know much about them. I just know mainly more about some of their starting players and some of their starting candidates for certain positions. But when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles offense, again, just based on the skill guys alone and the starting 5 here that we see on our screen with Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Devonta Smith, Makai Lemon, or Dontavian Wicks, and Dallas Goedert, they're not quite as proven as the Dallas Cowboys starting 5, okay? Let's look at the Dallas Cowboys right now. Dak Prescott at quarterback. Now, again, this is regular season only. We're not talking about the playoffs because we know that's a little bit of a different conversation when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. And even Cowboys fans recognize that, okay? So I'm not here to rip Dallas Cowboy fans. This is mainly about regular season, okay? Dak Prescott, the quarterback at the helm. Javonte Williams had a really good season last year. We're going to talk about him in just a few moments. CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver number 1, I believe is better than George Pickens, even though I hear some people talk about how George Pickens is going to take the mantle for CeeDee Lamb, and I think that's just ridiculous. I think CeeDee Lamb is an exceptional ball player. I think George Pickens is really good. But nonetheless, George Pickens is there. They signed him to another deal. I believe there was the franchise tag that they gave him. He's going to be playing for a contract this season. And then obviously Jake Ferguson, really good tight end. I think he is a solid player. I think he's got an all-around game. Underrated tight end, in my opinion. Very reliable, can block, has really good receiving ability, and a reliable target for Dak Prescott, okay? Now, in regards to Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts, this is where the comparisons of the show are going to begin. Now, with that being said, let me pull up the comparisons here. This was of the 2025 season last year, okay, ladies and gentlemen. Jalen Hurts threw for 3,200 yards, 25 touchdowns. He had 6 interceptions. Now, he had 4 fumbles altogether, so 10 turnovers in all. But Dak Prescott had a pretty damn good year. He had 4,500 yards passing, 30 touchdowns. He had 2 fumbles and 10 interceptions, okay, with a 67.3 completion percentage. Jalen Hurts at 64.8. Why that matters is because, quite frankly, when it comes to the 2 quarterbacks in the building here, really only one team has a proven offense, okay? And that's really just this Dallas Cowboys starting lineup. They're more proven. Quite frankly, they're the best in the NFC East. And it's not just the starting 5 here, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just the quarterback play that we saw here last season in 2025, but really it's the whole unit. And we're going to talk about the offensive line in just a second, but the starting 5 here for the Dallas Cowboys is comparable, if not better, than the starting 5 for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I hate to break it to Philadelphia Eagle fans. Now, again, this is purely regular season, okay? In terms of passing, in terms of getting the ball down the field and utilizing all weapons on the offense, Dak Prescott, as you saw with the comparison here, can throw for more yardage, throw more touchdowns, higher completion percentage, and I haven't even looked at the passing attempts, but I am almost confident, pretty confident, that Dak Prescott threw the ball more than Jalen Hurts. And if that's the case, those numbers are all that more impressive. Now, when it comes to Jalen Hurts, again, I don't think he played that great last season, even though a lot of the numbers and a lot of advanced analytics suggest that he played very well and he played, top 10, top 11 type football. Pro Football Focus ranks him as like the 10th or 11th talk much, as the 11th or 10th best quarterback in terms of some of the advanced numbers. Again, I didn't view it that way last season. The only thing that looked good, in my opinion, was his ability to not turn the ball over. I mean, 4 of the turnovers that you saw on that comparison came in the Charger game. So in terms of taking care of the ball, Jalen Hurts, and I've said this before, he's the best decision maker, in my opinion, in all of football when it comes to not turning the ball over. Part of that is very much a criticism of him amongst general fan bases because they believe that he is just a product of the system, which I believe is just nonsense, by the way. That's neither here nor there. The point being is, when it comes to the starting 5 and skill set guys, there's really not much comparison in terms of the offensive guys here. Dallas, I think, has the upper hand in that department. I think that's just a fair observant and objective take, okay? At least going into this 2026 season, you give the nod to the Dallas Cowboys, okay? Now, let's talk about the next side, the offensive line, okay? The Great Wall of Phillies, I like to call them, back in 2024. It's not quite that nowadays, but again, Eagle fans know Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Tyler Steen, and Lane Johnson. Now, listen, the biggest question mark of the NFL season for the Philadelphia Eagles outside of the quarterback and running back, it's this offensive line health. If the offensive line is healthy and they're even playing remotely close to what they did in 2024, hell, if they even play close to what they did in 2023, this offense is going to be improved, okay? And this is going to be the biggest job of not only Sean Mannion, but Chris Cooper, okay? Getting these guys to buy into the new scheme, for them to play up to snuff. And listen, once again, when it comes to the offensive line, it's not like the Dallas Cowboys are in a department where they're severely lacking. The only thing I think that they're better at, the only thing I think the Eagles are better at on the offensive line than the Cowboys are at tackles. Left and right tackle. I think Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson are the best in the NFL. When it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, in terms of interior linemen, it is really tough to look at that offensive line and not say, damn, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, Tyler Booker, that's an elite interior front, okay, for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, they have question marks at Tyler Guyton on the left side, and then Terrence Steele on the right side. He's solid, but he's not necessarily a road runner like Lane Johnson is per se, but health is a major concern for Lane Johnson. So again, when it comes to the offensive line, with the new scheme, with a new philosophy, with health, you have to say, at worst case scenario, it's a push. Meaning that both sides of the ball, in terms of Dallas versus Philadelphia Eagles, I'm going to give my nod to the Philadelphia Eagles just because I believe that the time off is going to be beneficial for the interior guys like Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens, mainly Cam Jurgens, more so than Landon Dickerson. He's already hobbling in camp, in mini camp at the moment, so I can't necessarily say Landon Dickerson's going to come into the year very, very healthy. But again, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, and Tyler Booker, that's an elite interior offensive line group. That just is. That's as good as it gets in the NFL. And Dallas Cowboy fans, I know the Tyler Smith and the Tyler Booker pick weren't sexy picks, but damn it, they hit the nail on the head when it comes to getting offensive linemen. They do a real damn good job for the most part in terms of drafting offensive linemen. Again, Tyler Guyton is a work in progress. He's probably a guy that has to have a really big year for Cowboy fans to believe in him, because he is probably the weakest mark on the offensive line for you guys. But here's the other problem. We're going to talk about that later for the Philadelphia Eagles. On the edge, really don't have many guys on the edge that can really, I think, exploit Tyler Guyton. But all in all, Philadelphia's offensive linemen compared to the Dallas offensive linemen, I'm calling it a push. So they have the advantage on the interior. We have the advantage at tackle. Okay, Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson, even if Lane Johnson only plays 12 games, I think is better than what they have in Dallas. But the interior of the offensive line, if Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens are not healthy, which more likely than not, Landon Dickerson probably won't be as healthy as maybe given credit for, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, and Tyler Booker, that's elite. That's an elite group of linemen right there. And here's the other thing. When it comes to the elite group of linemen, we have to look at running back here, ladies and gentlemen, because the performance of the offensive line for Philadelphia was judged mainly by the running game last season, because pass protection, they were actually pretty damn good in Philadelphia in terms of being able to block up front. Running the ball was part of the problem. And even with that, I don't think it was that bad that we're making it out to be now that we're looking at it in hindsight. Let's look at the numbers here between Saquon Barkley and Javonte Williams of the Dallas Cowboys. Comparable with rushing yards. Saquon Barkley had 1,140 yards. Javonte Williams had 1,200 yards. The attempts a little bit are on the higher end for Saquon Barkley at 280 attempts versus 252 attempts for Williams. touchdown department, Javonte Williams had 13, with 2 of them being receiving touchdowns, and Saquon Barkley had 9 touchdowns in total, 2 of them from receiving yards. And the yards per carry is probably the biggest indicator for the offensive line performance in terms of the season success. Javonte Williams averaged 4.8 yards a carry. Saquon Barkley averaging 4.1 yards a carry. And that, my friends, is the biggest indicator and the biggest barometer for success in the Philadelphia Eagles season for the 2026 year. Can they get the running game going? If you can get this running game going for the Philadelphia Eagles, all of a sudden this offense takes it to the next level despite losing A.J. Brown. Now, we haven't even talked about in this episode the loss of A.J. Brown, how much of that hurts the Eagles. It's going to hurt them immensely, which is makes it all the more important for Saquon Barkley to be elite. Like Javonte Williams last season for the Dallas Cowboys, those numbers right there, those are probably the best rushing performances that they have had from a running back in quite some time, since Ezekiel Elliott, okay? He was a godsend last year. One of the main reasons why they were the number 1 offense or a top 5, top 3 offense in the National Football League last year was because Javonte Williams had the year that he had. 4.8 yards a clip is elite. 13 touchdowns is elite. Those are numbers that you want to see from your running back. And now we're in an NFL where the renaissance of the running back here, I mean, it has come back stronger and better than ever. You need to have an elite running game in the National Football League. You need to have elite play from the running back position in order to be successful at the NFL level. And the Dallas Cowboys last season had a really, really good output by Javonte Williams at the running back slot. So when it comes to offensive linemen, again, like I said, it's a push. And Saquon Barkley's numbers in comparison to Javonte Williams, relatively the same, but expectations for the Eagles are much higher because we came off the year where he had $2,000. We're losing A.J. Brown. We have a new scheme. All of these things have to contribute to Saquon Barkley being featured in the offense and making sure he has an elite output. For Javonte Williams, he just needs to be consistent the way he was. If he does that, all of a sudden the Dallas Cowboys offense once again is going to come into the season being elite. Having consistency at play caller with Brian Schottenheimer also helps. Having consistency with the weapons coming back also helps. And again, like I said, this is purely regular season talking. In the regular season, the Dallas Cowboys get up for the Philadelphia Eagles. So this is not going to be an easy matchup for the Philadelphia Eagles. In this NFC Division review matchup, you tip your nod on the offensive side of the ball, in my opinion, to the Dallas Cowboys. Hey, thank you so much for getting through this episode of the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. If you want more content just like this, hit the subscribe button below to lock in with me. Thank you so much for your support on the opposite side of the camera, and check us out on other platforms in the description box below. And we'll see you back here next time for the next episode of the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast.